sectors, if you invest about 100 crores, this is the kind of return that the government of Madhya Pradesh promises from day one to you. The ROI is that if you are investing 100 crores, you get back from the government 35 crores. If you are investing 100 crores in growth, you get back 34 crores. If you are investing in ITS, 100 crores, you get back 30 crores. In ABGC, you get back 48 crores. In Semicon, you get 38 crores. And in addition to that, Government of India subsidy. And then for data centers, if you invest 100 crores, you get 20 crores back from Government of Madhya Pradesh. And that is where the policies are. So if you are considering any destination, if you are thinking of making any investment in technology, what else is required, whether it is employees, benefit, ease of living, the cosmopolitan nature, the policies that support you, the availability of the talent, and the infrastructure which is there, which is about 5 lakh kilometers of road length and multiple destinations of railway network crisscrossing the state of Madhya Pradesh. And that is why I say that if you have to grow and you have to be growing in this field, you have to be in Madhya Pradesh, you have to invest in Madhya Pradesh, else you might have FOMO later on and fear of missing out, saying that why I have not taken that decision. So the time is now, the time is here, and the time is today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, sir. Madhya Pradesh is quickly becoming the heart of India.
And the number 2 exporter of IT services. Madhya Pradesh, an emerging tech powerhouse, Tier 2 cities are powering India's next IT revolution. And Madhya Pradesh is leading this transformation with cities like Bhopal, Indore, Jabalpur and Gwalior at the forefront. Indore, the cleanest city, and Bhopal, one of the greenest capitals, offer a unique combination of low commute times, more ease of living, and work-life balance. With 15 plus IT parks, 5 SEZs, 50 plus large IT companies, and a strong presence of global tech leaders, Madhya Pradesh is home to 2,000 plus ITES units, 1,200 plus startups including 2 unicorns, and 1,50,000 plus jobs. The state also delivers 24/7 power, essential raw materials for data centers, and 27% renewable energy capacity, providing the perfect foundation for business growth. Talent-driven innovation with over 300 colleges producing 50,000 plus technical graduates annually. Madhya Pradesh is a talent hub, backed by premier institutions like IIM and IIT. It's the perfect destination for tech businesses and innovators, driving India's technological growth and global investment. Policy milestones supporting growth, leading India's technological future. Madhya Pradesh offers transformative policies, including India's first dedicated Global Capability Centers, Policy 2025. Along with the ITES and ESDM Investment Promotion Policy, the state is unlocking the creative economy through the AVGC XR Policy 2025. The Semiconductor and Electronics Manufacturing Policy 2025 strengthens India's chip ecosystem, and the Drone Promotion Policy 2025 focuses on e-governance and workforce development. A gateway to global success. The world is looking at India, and Madhya Pradesh is ready, contributing 5 lakh crore rupees to the economy. It leads in IT, semiconductors, and emerging technologies. Madhya Pradesh offers a gateway to global success where innovation meets quality of life. Whether it's IT, GCCs, electronics manufacturing or emerging technologies, Madhya Pradesh is your destination for growth. Grab the opportunity and invest in Madhya Pradesh where growth and prosperity flourish.
Thank you. The world is looking at India and Madhya Pradesh is ready. Whether it's IT, GCCs, electronics manufacturing or emerging technology, Madhya Pradesh is your destination to grow, as we are the only state with tailor-made policy for all sectors of IT, ITs and related fields. Now moving forward, I would like to invite Padma Bhushan Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, co-founder, ex-MD HCL and founder Epic Foundation for his address. Padma Bhushan Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, a visionary mind in India's tech revolution. His impact we find co-founder of HCL. He paved the way transforming IT with innovation each day. As MD, he led with wisdom and grace, shaping India's digital future in every space. With Epic Foundation, he fuels the dream, building tech for India with a strong regime, a leader, a mentor, inspiration the youth. His journey reflects vision, passion and truth. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Padma Bhushan Dr. Ajay Chaudhary ji.
Thank you. Good morning. Firstly, I'm always happy to be in MP because I belong to MP. I did my schooling and college in Jabalpur Engineering College and then went on to create HCL. And my family has also lived in MP for a very long time, both in Bhopal and Jabalpur. My father was an IS officer of the MP cadre, very early days. So what I want to say is that when I left college in 1972, Jabalpur Engineering College, I looked for jobs and I got 3 jobs and then I decided to take one job. And then few years later, 6 of us created Hindustan Computers Limited, HCL, which created pretty much the first computers in India. And our first computer at that time was created at the same time as Apple did globally. So we are not just people who created an industry, but we also led the industry in many ways. And I guess as somebody from MP, I'm proud to say that this is the most successful startup and the largest startup of a person out of MP. We are today a $13 billion corporation and we have a market cap of around $50 billion. So with that, what I would like to mention is that as I look around the world is changing in many, many ways. And Donald Trump has made a huge impression of what changes are going to be and where the world will be and where the countries have to be. So basically, with Trump in place, it's very, very clear that the world is becoming unipolar. It's no longer a multipolar world. So it's all divided between the US, Russia, China, EU, India, and the rest. And that's the way it is going to be. If it's going to be a unipolar world, what do we need to do as a country? What do we need to do as MP, as a state? What we need to do is to prepare for it. And how do we prepare for it? We need to prepare with one objective in mind. We have to have strategic autonomy. For strategic autonomy, we need to invest in creating technologies. Otherwise, it's going to be like East India Company. Traders will come, they will own us, and they will rule us. The only way out of it is to create our own technologies and depend on those technologies to be successful. And we don't need to think about what should we do in the next 2 years. We need to think about 15 years later, 20 years later, how can we create 5 top companies of India which will be among the top 5 in the world. And if we don't think like that, we are going to be looking at very short-term objectives. Behind that has to sit a very major change that we have to do in education institutions, for example. When I go to many universities and IITs and education institutions, every student wants to be in computer science. The world is changing. Because of AI and automation, there's going to be a huge threat to services out of this country. And therefore, as a country, we need to move very quickly from services to products. And therefore, I'm very happy to see the policies of MP, because they're not just focusing on IT and ITES. They're focusing on electronics, semiconductors, drones, and many other areas. This is very heartening to see from a state like MP. But if we think about it, what are we known for in the world? Everybody thinks about it as an IT services capital of the world. Definitely we have done phenomenally well to have actually created that. But that alone we cannot be. We need to be a product nation. We need to create our own products and design them in India. And therefore, a lot of people used to ask me 15 years ago, why don't we have a Google or a Microsoft in India? Well, today we have DPI in India. We have vaccine in India. We have a 4G, 5G stack which is world class. We have a Shakti chip that we have developed from RISC-V technology. And we have the Vande Bharat train. All these are products. So we have started to work on creating world-class products out of India. And that is essential if we want to go forward as a country and a state. So having looked at the various policies of the state, I was very impressed to see the just deep focus on clear areas of product. I think that is very essential. But when you look at your drone policy, I would like to suggest that go deeper and think about 2 components in drones that you will make in MP. And these 2 components will be supplied to all over India and all over the world. So let's say a motor. Think about 1 or 2 components like that. Today, all the products that are made in India, like drones, are system integrated. People don't make components in India. Everybody is importing from China. That's not a good situation to be in. We need to control our own destiny. If you look at recently, the Army announced that they will not buy any drone which has Chinese components. Now, why can't MP take a lead and create drones which do not have a single Chinese component? Let's create a 3-4 year vision to make that happen. So that's the way we have to think. We have to create strategic autonomy in this country. And I would also suggest very strongly that around each of these areas, you create clusters. So as you create clusters, these clusters should have an education institution, it should have design centers, it should have startups, and it should have companies integrated into this cluster. So from academics to design to manufacturing and to global marketing needs to be put inside a cluster. Because that is what is required today. As a country, we need to be a product nation. We just cannot stay alone with services. If you look at China, 90% of their total GDP consists of 90% of commodities and products, 10% services. India, 60% services. This is not a good situation to be in. So the government is taking very strong steps actually here. If you look at MeitY, there's so much work that is going on in terms of creating products in India. As a matter of fact, we formed a task force recommending that India should be a product nation in electronics. Why should India be a product nation in electronics? We are creating fabs. But once we have created fabs, who will be the customer of fabs? We need to make our own chips, we need to make our own products and feed the fabs so that we will be self-sufficient in this country. And we have so much demand for semiconductors in this country. We made a list of 30 startups, 30 chips that are required for India's requirement. So I think this is something that we need to take forward. I noticed that many parts of the government are starting to focus on looking at products. So I was with Secretary Pharmaceuticals the other day, and there's a deep desire to create medtech devices in India. And very happy to note that you have a medtech cluster here. Do you know that 85% of medtech devices today are imported? And that is not a good situation to be in. Just imagine what happened during COVID. No, everybody refused to send ventilators to India. So this is not a good situation. We need to create our own medtech products designed to manufacturing. So the Make in India that the Honorable Prime Minister started, during the last August, he made a statement. He said, design and make in India. So I think that is where we should go. The Make in India should change to design and make in India. I will also notice that you made a very important statement today, which was that ROI for investors is essential. And I really appreciate that, because when I was in Taiwan recently, the big question everybody asked me is that we get to come to India, we get very confused. We don't know how to work. We don't know how to actually make things happen. And the only thing we look at is ROI. So I think ROI is very essential. And in that, I would also suggest that when you look at your policies, make a change to not selling land, but to give people ready-made facilities where they can plug and play and make company products in India. Because they want to come here, they don't want to wait for 2 years to make their plant. Let them come here, let them start. As soon as they come, 3 months later, all approvals are done, let them get started. The ROI will be fantastic if you do that. So I think those are the kind of, approaches you need to take. Let's stop selling land. Let us now start renting plug-and-play facilities so that the ROI dramatically improves. There's no cost of land in that case. So some of these things that maybe you want to look at. And lastly, I'm chairing the quantum mission, and I would love to see quantum happen in this state also. So if there's anything that I can do to work together with 4 or 5 institutions, IIT Indore is definitely going to be the first. I would like to get you to start deep quantum R&D in your institution. We worked with the ICTE to create an undergrad program in quantum technologies. We've also now launching an MS program in quantum technologies, and a lot of startups have come up in quantum. You will be surprised there are 109 quantum startups in this country. A lot of people don't even know. And we have created a most amazing startup policy for quantum technologies, because quantum needs a lot of research, and therefore we don't just give away 2 crores and 3 crores. We give up to 30 crores per startup. So recently we have actually given 76 crores to 8 startups in the country, because we want them to do R&D, we want them to design, we want them to be successful, we want them to be scaling. And therefore they can even come back for a second option of 30 crores also, as long as they have achieved their targets. So this is the kind of opportunity MP has. And MP, the biggest benefit of MP is its manpower. But unfortunately, a lot of that manpower is sitting in Bangalore and Hyderabad. We need to get them back. And I noticed that in your semiconductor policy, you have a strategy to bring them back. I think that's absolutely wonderful, because that will get us to be more successful. As I suggested to Sanjay ji, that we should hold a road show in Bangalore. We should hold a road show in Hyderabad. Tell them about our policies. Get those people back. All those MP guys are all sitting there. And you know, you made a list of all those guys also, right? So let's go get them back. And I think that will make us very, very successful, because I believe manpower is what makes a state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And here we have Shri Ramesh Kannan, sir, from Keynes Technology. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for coming. And now, moving forward, I would like to call Shri S. Krishnan, sir, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. He has played a pivotal role in India's digital transformation, driving policies in AI, cybersecurity, and emerging technology. With vast experience in governance, he has led industrial development, fiscal planning, and investment promotion in Tamil Nadu. His contributions extend to international financial discussion, including representation at the IMF. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sri S. Krishnan, sir.
Additional Chief Secretary of the Government of Madhya Pradesh in Science, Technology and Information Technology, Shri Sanjay Dubey. Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, founder of EPIC Foundation, founder of HCL, and currently the chair of the National Quantum Mission. Many of my friends from industry, both on and off the stage. Let me first congratulate the government of Madhya Pradesh for having hosted such an energetic and such a vibrant investor summit here in Bhopal, in surroundings which are very interesting, in surroundings that bridge what needs to happen in this country, of taking the country forward while preserving some of its very essential character. We are in the middle of the Manav Sangrahalaya, the anthropological museum for traditional communities here in the country, and how we take them on this path of development without affecting them is probably one of the key elements that we take away from an event of this nature. And very interestingly, in the morning's inaugural session, both in the videos that were displayed and in the Honorable Prime Minister's speech, the one thing that you find is the emphasis on technology. 20 years ago, if you were at any of these events, most of the people you would meet would be investment bankers. Most of the people would be from the financial world. Life has changed completely. Today, it is the technology people who are the critical elements of what happens in any economy. Economy moves forward on the basis of technology. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology had a study conducted recently with the support of ICRIER, the Indian Council for International Economic Relations, where we wanted to assess what the size of the digital economy was. And what we found was very interesting. Till about 10 years ago, the size of the digital economy was barely 6 or 7% of India's GDP. Now it is currently at about 13%. It has doubled. And it is expected to grow to almost 20% by the turn of this decade, by about 2030. What you see in the digital economy, which comprises two broad parts, and it doesn't count the entire impact of digital technology on the economy. It doesn't count that. It's basically about those segments of the economy which are primarily digital. Whether you're talking about IT, ITES and other services, digital commerce and so on, or whether you're talking about electronics, semiconductors and so on. Fundamentally, those which are related to digital technology. It's expected to reach 20% of the total size of India's economy by 2030. It is growing twice as fast as the rest of the economy. So that is the significance of what the digital economy can really do for us and why it is becoming that much more significant. And as I pointed out, it doesn't even count the impact of digital technology on all other sectors. Today, if you speak about the textile sector, you speak about the mining sector, you talk about the medical sector, you talk about drug discovery, you talk about delivery of services in any of these sectors, all of it is being enhanced by the use of digital technology. It is contributing to the growth in productivity in each of these sectors in a very, very significant way. And which is why the emphasis on growing the digital technology sector in a country like India. And this is what? This is the one thing which offers a country like India the opportunity to leapfrog. This is the one opportunity we have to actually ride the digital technology wave in order to overtake and in order to ensure that we become truly a developed nation, a Viksit Bharat by 2047. If one thing gives you the opportunity, this is what gives you the opportunity. Many people, many experts, economists and others feel, for instance, that artificial intelligence and what the AI revolution can do in this century, in this decade, and in the coming decade is almost what the steam engine and the first industrial revolution did in the final decades of the 19th century. So that is the kind of impact that we could potentially see, and that is what we really need to harvest, and which is why I think the government of Madhya Pradesh giving so much importance to having the opening plenary of this of their global investors meet, focusing on Tech Invest, I think is an extremely timely measure. And the 5 policies that they have brought out clearly focus on the various elements of what the digital economy will entail and how we can harness technology. So there are multiple parts to this. One part to this clearly is what needs to happen in the ITES sector in terms of deepening the value chain, in terms of making sure that the value add that happens, the kind of jobs that get created in this sector are not the kind of jobs which got created 20 or 25 years ago. These are different jobs. These are high value added jobs. These are high knowledge intensive jobs. These are the kind of jobs which reach and which meet the aspirations of India's youth, of people who are better educated, have more to offer in a range of services. So clearly the GCCs, the Global Capability Centers, are not just hyped up BPO operations. They are actually engineering R&D centers. They are the kind of centers which can actually contribute to enhanced value across the world. And the other thing that you would see is possibly that a lot more of the talent which otherwise would have got exported by emigrating out of the country would actually be talent which gets retained in the country and is able to then, as a spillover, contribute to greater growth. That is the importance of the GCC sector in terms of the higher quality jobs that. The second important needs to be addressed the overall electronics in terms of higher value chain. Today, the one thing that we need in electronics is that the global value chain. Manufactured and just manufactured across countries. Typically, before it reaches you, has 70 times in terms of various components of it. Now, today's situation is that India has witnessed over the last 10 years considerable increase in overall electronics output. Overall electronics production in the country has grown considerably. It's no mean feat that 10 years ago, in 2014-15, about 75% of the mobile phones that each one of us were using were all imported. Today, more than 99% of the mobile phones are assembled in India, are made in India in a sense of being put together in India. It doesn't mean that all of them are manufactured from scratch in India. About the value addition which takes place in India is about 18 to 20%. Clearly that has to increase. But please also remember that 18 to 20% value addition takes place in a segment which is extremely labor intensive, which is employment intensive, and it produces a large number of jobs. And that again is extremely important for a country like India, for a state like Madhya Pradesh, or for any state. Alongside that, we need to deepen that value chain. We need to ensure that that value chain continues to stay in India, that industry continues to stay in India, because it has to deliver more jobs, it has to create more jobs. And we have to export these products in order for these jobs to be created. Dr. Chaudhary mentioned the Product Nation Committee report, task force report, of which he was a part. An important dimension of what we are attempting to do there is to actually increase value addition in India, ensure that more components and various other parts of the electronics are actually manufactured in India, to make sure that even if the labor economics dimension shift, even if it becomes cheaper in some other country to actually assemble these units, we have enough value addition to be done here to keep the industry anchored in the country. But that alone is not enough. As Mr. Chaudhary pointed out, I mean, this is an iPhone. Now, typically when you look at an iPhone, what you find is probably in the US market it's worth about, say, $1,000. Of that $1,000, the entire cost, the bill of materials of all the equipment that goes into it, all the cost of assembling, is probably about 25% or 30%, $250 or $300 out of the 1,000. The rest of the $700 accrues to the company that designs it, and which is why the design ecosystem is also so important in India, which is why you need to design products in India, make products of quality, make products of the kind where we can actually sell competitively across the world. So what we need to do, in addition to doing all of this, is to make sure that we have an environment which enables us to make these products in a competitive fashion. Dr. Chaudhary pointed out some of the aspects which are important there in terms of where government policy can help. There are more areas where government policy can help. In all of those spaces, it's important. We can bring down the costs of doing business. We can bring down the costs of regulation. Each of those areas will contribute to this, and we need to work hand in hand with industry to make sure that the investment takes place and we are able to produce in a way that is competitive across the globe. So that's another dimension. Equally, semiconductors. What the COVID pandemic taught us, and at that point I was still posted in the government of Tamil Nadu. Hyundai, the big car maker, had made a large number of cars. They were ready to be shipped. They couldn't ship them simply because they did not have the semiconductor chips which need to go into the various electronic components of the car. So everything else is ready. Everything else is ready, but you couldn't ship because the supply chain of semiconductors was disrupted. Today, in addition to having, and that is a key contribution India can make to the global economy itself, in terms of contributing to resilient supply chains globally, particularly in the semiconductor space. And that is the ambition that India has, and that is what the government is attempting to do in terms of making sure that we have a position in the semiconductor space. We are able to not just manufacture, but even design. Already India has probably one of the largest design manufacturing ecosystems in the world, design ecosystems in the world in the semiconductor space. Nearly 20% of the entire design human resources in the semiconductor space is based out of India. But we are designing for a number of countries globally. It's not a bad thing. They're good jobs. They're worthwhile jobs. They are GCCs. Let us remember that. But equally what it means is that we should see the spillover of that. We should see more of them becoming entrepreneurs, more of them joining Indian-owned companies, more of them designing the chips, designing semiconductors, which can then be manufactured in the fabs and packaged in the OSATs and ATMPs that will come up in India and make India a key player in the overall semiconductor ecosystem of the world and make sure that we are able to contribute to that. All of these are extremely important steps that need to be taken. All of these are vitally important for the way that India's economy will turn out over the coming 2 to 3 decades. And that is why these are long-term bets. These are bets that we are placing in a crucial area of the economy where all of us need to work together to get this going. So I'm very happy to be participating in this particular event where Sri Dubey has just showcased so beautifully what Madhya Pradesh offers. Of course, as a secretary in the government of India, I see what multiple states offer. I visited events in Gujarat, I visited events in Karnataka and elsewhere, where each state lays out a red carpet. Now, the good thing for all of those amongst you who are investors is you benefit from this competition. So please remember that all of you, there are many states which are competing with you, many states which are competing to attract you, which are trying to give you better and better solutions for the kind of issues that they have. They constantly learn from each other and try to improve the range of offerings that can be produced. This is the way India becomes competitive to manufacture globally. And that is the positive contributions that these 5 policies that Madhya Pradesh has announced today will make for the country. And clearly, I want that, there are many areas where Madhya Pradesh can significantly contribute. They should learn from areas where they've succeeded. Today, the Prime Minister mentioned that earlier today. Madhya Pradesh is one of the highest ranked states in terms of agricultural productivity and what they produce across a range of commodities. This is a change which has happened over the last 2 to 3 decades. Learn from what has gone right in those sectors, replicate them in other sectors, because nothing succeeds like success. Sometimes it's good to address that, good to learn from what you have done well and trying to replicate from it. And so similar to that, I'm sure in these technology sectors also they will do well. As far as India is concerned, we are trying very hard as a matter of policy to push GCCs, to push electronic manufacturing, to push semiconductor design, all of these to tier 2 and tier 3 cities across India. This creates a huge impact. It creates a huge impact for investors also. It brings down costs hugely. You've seen both in terms of human resource costs, in terms of commute costs, in terms of a whole host of other factors. Relocating to smaller cities makes a huge difference for investors. That's how the ecosystem gets created. So in that, again, Madhya Pradesh would be a leading state to lead this shift into a smaller country, into smaller cities across the country, which are moving up the value chain very rapidly. And clearly they've demonstrated, in terms of leapfrogging, they've demonstrated what they can do with technology in terms of delivering government services significantly better and moving up the ratings there. I was very, very happy to learn this morning, and we suffer from this personally and otherwise, saying if you can actually register a document wherever you are in the world with authentication mechanisms, there's nothing which can be as comfortable as that. You don't have to sort of go through complicated rituals like powers of attorney. You don't have to sort of say that, when can everybody turn up? You don't have to, it is so much more frictionless. And that is the kind of innovation that the state has made possible, and I compliment them for that. And clearly, you would not go wrong if you invested in Madhya Pradesh, and honestly, you would not go wrong if you invested anywhere in India for that matter. There are many locations which promise you this, and Madhya Pradesh really is in the heart of India. You can't cross from one side of India to the other side without crossing Madhya Pradesh, and clearly this is a place where you will definitely find your stop. Let me once again thank the government of Madhya Pradesh and Sri Dubey in particular for having, and of course my batchmate and good friend, Chief Secretary of Madhya Pradesh, Sri Anurag Jain, for having organized this wonderful event and for having invited me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to request Shri Sasi Kumar Gendam, President Elcina, to please come on stage and join our respective dignitaries on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sasi Kumar Gendam. Now I would like to invite Shri Avinash Vasisht. Avinash Vasisht ji is the Chairman and CEO of Tolons, a global leader in digital transformation and innovation strategy, a BTech graduate from IIT Kanpur and MS in computer science from the University of Alberta. He is a thought leader in AI-driven reinvention and sustainability. He has advised Fortune 500 companies on disruptive tech and strategy, previously serving as Chairman and CEO of Accenture India, and author of bestsellers like Innovation at Scale. He plays key role in AmCham, NASSCOM, FICCI, and CII, shaping global offshoring and digital transformation strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Shri Avinash Vasisht.
Good afternoon. It's really a pleasure to be in MP and in Bhopal. And I would like to thank everyone on the dais and everyone that I've known from MP in terms of making this a very, very significant event. And by the way, just being outside of MP, even outside of India at times traveling, you couldn't escape the fact that MP Global Investor Summit is happening over here. I think today I would love to kind of talk a little bit about the journey that we have seen. I have been in this industry of IT and BPO from when it was born, as part of being having the largest client called Nortel come in, and when Infosys, Wipro, TCS were just starting off in this industry. And I got the chance to also work with HCL Ajay in the 2000 onwards for some of our clients. So we were the first and the largest advisors bringing clients from Fortune 500 Global 2000 into India. Most of the large deals that happened, we were involved in that. We was also involved in kind of growing, the Indian companies, but also Accenture in India. But predominantly what Tolons also does is work with various governments in terms of growing those countries. I think, where we're talking about GCC, why GCC is happening today? Why? GCC is happening today for one reason, that everyone realizes that AI is changing everything. When I say changing, it's not a matter of transformation than that. It's called everyone has to reimagine what we do. But tomorrow, for the drones, that is electric cars and self-driving cars. It's a weather. So I think the reinvention that we should replace reinvention and not just transform. Looking at the GCC stuff, or when they come here, choice. They're saying, what can I take to offshore? Then they're talking about the fact that what can I take where? So it's not just about India only, there are other destinations as well. I know India is a predominant destination. In the outsourcing era, India had half of all outsourcing work. We believe that in the AI stuff, India will have about 70% of the work, because the talent which is required is a very significant level, and what it is the AI talent. And AI talent at scale, India has it. But at the same time, don't discount the fact that clients are saying we need to also move near shore. So you will find a significant amount of clients wanting to have a solution near shore in Latin America for the US and Eastern Europe and Europe for the Europe itself. I think the thing is that right now, if you look at it, why is nearshoring happening? Nearshoring is happening because you don't need 500 people today. You need 50 people doing work with a lot of collaboration between each other. So they need more time zone, overlaps in doing that stuff. So again, I think the fact is also the fact today we have $2 trillion that the market is addressing India has about 250 billion, and the rest of the world has another 250 billion. But because of the AI, the services economy is significantly impacted by technology. And we believe instead of the 2 trillion, you will add another 2 trillion by 2030 to this. So the market is going to go up to 4 trillion. Now what that basically means is the market demand is extremely high. But the fact is, if we continue to do what we have been doing in IT up until now, we will not be able to address that demand. So the question is, what do we need to address that demand, which is enormous? So I wouldn't say that we should worry about the competition, we should worry about the fact that are we ready to address that demand? Few things, and especially the few things I'll talk about which Madhya Pradesh can enable. The first thing, other than obviously the consulting, where to go and everything, which are something that advisors like us are very capable of doing, but when we land in Madhya Pradesh, what are the 3 things that are most required? Number one, they say, can we set up our entities as a GCC entity over here? And the answer should be yes. How much time will it take? I think that is got to be a very seamless process. Now with the thing about doing most of the things sitting in a paper registration, I think this thing is much, much easier, by the way, to be able to do it. And when people talk about the fact you can form a corporation within a matter of 2 or 3 minutes in the US and some of the such, I think we need to enable some bit of that stuff in entity setup. Then there are other compliances, you have labor, you have GST and other compliances, so those also should become very, very quick because we look at the entity setup taking time, but we look at the entity setup as being a very easy process, but the clients are number one most worried about the entity setup. And then once entity setup is done, they need enabling functions like HR, procurement, and finance. So that's one area which I think, if there is like an entity setup and regulatory compliance in a box, I think that will make it very, very easy and attractive for MP. The second thing is infrastructure. And in the infrastructure, you have the IPCs like CBRE, JL, and everyone else. When a client says, where should I go? Let's say even in Indore, for example, most of them will say it depends, right? And the thing is that the client doesn't even know what question to ask to convert the it depends to something that they can think. Right? What the consultants are saying is it depends whether you have BPO, this and that, by the way. So I think before they even say it depends, they should ask certain questions and give some kind of an answer. I think this is one of the things that Tolons, which was the first, and we are the largest GCC builders globally, we basically give those answers after asking the questions from things. So I think right now, when you have your own organization, Sanjay ji, I think they should basically know that there are different kinds of organization, and for them there is a certain set of answers. And by the way, we'll be more than happy to work with you on that stuff, so that when clients come in, they feel very comfortable there is a partner who really knows our requirements and what they have to offer. And I think, Ajay ji, you talked about the fact that to speed up the ROI, we need built-up spaces. Absolutely we need built-up spaces, because the thing is that right now if you bring a client, and if you bring 10 clients to Madhya Pradesh, I need that, enable them in 3 to 4 months, by the way. I can't say after 6 months or 9 months. So I need built-up spaces. But at the same time, the aspiration of those clients would be to go into thousands of people. And that obviously requires pre-planning and doing things. For example, right now, Tolons is working with some of the Brookfields and the Blackstones, who are very, very large state owners, and they really have a big bet on the GCCs. Last year, 39% of real estate was consumed by GCCs in India. And this year, it will probably, by the way. That's a significant, that is enabling the fact that people can take more land and build buildings. I think some of the initiatives that you're doing are very, very good. The third one I would say, and which is extremely important, is talent. Right? So all of us have talked about talent being very, very important. Now, the thing is that if we look at the talent requirement that has been 5 years, is future. The talent technology and startups. Why are startups? Because all the new technology is at some point. Yes, 5 years we worked on big things, Salesforce, the way. The new age ERP solutions are going to be thousands, not tens of them. And so how do we know, how does the talent know how to work with these 1,000 ERP solutions? That means startup solutions, by the way. So that ability to work with AI is something which is very, very different. The training that we require for that is very, very different. So I think, and I know that all of us are grappling with this. I think one of the concepts that I would like to talk about, which again is very technical, but I'll try to simplify it. When you deliver something which is a utility, that means you can ask for it anytime and you can pay for it anytime, and that's called a utility. I think in this world, we need to start thinking about AI managed services. That means I can provide you with some output which is an AI-enabled output where I need these inputs, and this is how I will give it to you, and this is how I'll charge for you. I know I've simplified it a lot, but I think we need to start quantifying things. This is not about providing a solution to a client, it's providing an outcome to a client through a solution. And I think so some of the training courses and other things have to actually amplify on that stuff. Now again, cost is not always the one that will win you over. So for example, our study says that the tier 2, definitely salaries are much less. In terms of the real estate is even big difference than tier 1. And so I think if you look at the cost of operations, it's less. But if clients can't find a way to grow from 500 people to 5,000 people, they should not come in a place, by the way. So I think what we need to look for is making sure that we have more training institutes who are available to train on AI and not just generate what we had before. I think for us, we were in Indore yesterday, thanks to Sanjay ji, his team over there, and Avantika, thanks to you. And we really looked at the quality of the infrastructure that is available. So from that perspective, that's not an issue. And we do have the IMs, we have ITs and other institutes. So I think all the things that would make things work is there. And Ajay, your idea about trying to go and market in Hyderabad and Bangalore is a very good idea, because if you look at Singapore did not have any talent. What did they do? They attracted talent from all over the world to make it happen. So I think that's a very, very good point, because if you market, people will know that Madhya Pradesh is serious enough to make this the destination of the future. I mean, look at Hyderabad. I mean, what was Hyderabad 25 years ago? Fine. And we should give credit to the Chief Minister then, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, and everyone else who made it happen. So hopefully, Madhya Pradesh will be that. And you have great leaders like Ajay ji coming from the states. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we have the big ticket announcements by issuing letter of intent and letter of acceptance by the dignitaries. And for this, first of all, I would like to call Shri Santosh Gundapi from Amba Enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Shri Santosh Gundapi for an investment of 3,000 crore in PCB and electronics manufacturing with an expected employment of 3,200 people. I request all the dignitaries on the dais to please come forward. And next, I would like to call Shri Vinit Dhawan from DCT, Digital Convenience Technology. And this is for an investment of 200 crores in GCC with an expected employment of 500 Now, Shri Sasi Kumar Gendam, President Ilsina, for an investment of 1,000 to 1,220 crores in PCB and electronics manufacturing cluster with an expected employment of 5,000 people. I request Shri Pradeep Nath Software for an investment of 45 crore in drone services with an expected employment. Now I request Shri Vijay Anand Chaudhary, Shri Tech Data Private Limited for an investment of rupees 4,000 crore in GCC and data center with an expected employment of 2,000 people. Now I would request Shri Avinash Vasishtha, founder and CEO Tholons, for an investment of rupees 500 crore and 5,000 crore in FDI in GCC with an expected employment of 40,000 people. Now I request Shri Ramesh Kannan from Keynes Technologies for an investment of rupees 352 crores in SMT Manufacturing and IT Park, Badwai Bhopal with an expected employment of 1,650 people. Now I request Shri Bharat Bhushan from Beyond Studios for an investment of rupees 100 crores in AV's GC with an expected employment of 2,500 people. Now I request Shri Aditya S.G. Vyas from IIT Indore and District CPC and Professor Suhas Joshi, Director IIT Indore, to please come forward for setting up an incubation center for startups. And IT Park Indore. Thank you so much, sir. Now, we'll be signing an MOU exchange between government and industry for skilling and upskilling initiatives of the state. And for this, I would like to invite L&T Edutech. I request Project Director Shri Guru Prasad sir to please. L&T Edutech. This MOU is being signed for online learning platform and monitoring. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for L&T Edutech. Now, nextly, I would like to call IBM. And here, this MOU will be signed for curriculum guidance, mentorship, and structured training program. Here we have the representatives from IBM on stage. Now, nextly, I would like to call Microsoft. And with Microsoft, this MOU will be signed in AI capacity building program. And after this, I would like to call Barclays. Thank you. Now, the representatives from Barclays will be there on stage with us for exchanging the MOU in enhancing employability in GCC sector. Now, after this, I would like to call VLSI Society. The representatives from VLSI Society will be there, and the MOU will be exchanged on developing. Dr. Satya Gupta is here with us. Developing talent in semicon design and setting up COEs. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as the MOUs have been exchanged between government and industry for skilling and upskilling initiatives of the state. Thank you so much, sir. Now, I request everybody, in collaboration with the Department of Science and Technology, Government of Madhya Pradesh, ET government, which is an initiative of the Economic Times, has published a special coffee table book titled Madhya Pradesh, India's Next Tech Powerhouse, on the occasion of Invest Madhya Pradesh Global Investor Summit 2025. May I request the dignitaries on the dais to please unveil the coffee table booklet, and I will also invite Mr. Arpit Gupta, Senior Associate Editor, The Economic Times, to join us for the launch of coffee table booklet. Ladies and gentlemen, the dignitaries on the dais will be unveiling the coffee table booklet. This coffee table book serves as a monumental tribute to the transformative journey of Madhya Pradesh as it rises to become a global leader in industrial technology and innovation sectors. This prestigious publication encapsulates the state's remarkable evolution, showcasing its rapid progress and dynamic growth across multiple cutting-edge sectors, including animation, visual effects, gaming, and comic, semiconductors, CCC, and drone technology. The sector represents the forefront of innovative in the state, each fueled by the strategic vision and strong leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister Dr. Mohan Yadav. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I request each and everybody of you to please be seated. We are waiting for Honorable CM, sir. He will be here in next 2 minutes. And here, for the plenary session and vote of thanks, I would like to call Shri Ashish Vashisht, Managing Director, Madhya Pradesh State Electronics Development Corporation Limited. He also holds additional charge as the Executive Director of MP State Agency for Public Service and Mission Director of Samagra Samachik Suraksha Mission. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Shri Ashish Vashisht.
Thank you. Respected Honorable Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India, Honorable ACS Sir, distinguished guests, esteemed industry delegates, representative of Government of Madhya Pradesh, and all guests present in this hall. It is both a privilege and honor to stand before you today as we conclude the session of the Madhya Pradesh Tech Invest under the Global Investor Summit 2025. On behalf of the Government of Madhya Pradesh and the entire organizing team, I extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your presence and participation. We are immensely grateful to our Chief Minister Dr. Mohan Yadav ji, whose visionary leadership has been instrumental in positioning Madhya Pradesh as one of the most dynamic and investor-friendly state in India. His commitment to promoting innovation, infrastructure development, and sustainable economic growth in the state has paved the way for successful collaboration such as the one we are witnessing today. Madhya Pradesh today is at an exciting juncture with state-of-the-art infrastructure, skilled and readily available talent pool, with the presence of institutions of national importance and an attractive policy ecosystem covering a wide range of verticals such as IT, ITS, data center, GCC, ESDM, semiconductor, AVGC, and drone. The big ticket announcement of Amber, DCT, Alcina, Prakhar, STDL, Tholons, Keynes, Beyond Studio, Drishti IIT are a proof of the confidence of investors from Madhya Pradesh. We assure you completely support and necessary handholding for establishing your investment in the state. The MOUs with industry-leading organizations like L&T Edutech, IBM, Microsoft, Barclays, VLSI will pave the way for more industry-ready talent with the Industry Academic Institute collaboration supported by the state government. Our vision for MP Tech Invest is to create a robust ecosystem that not only attracts global investors but also nurture homegrown talent, fosters innovation, and ensures sustainable development. With the support of stakeholders like you, we aim to position MP as the leading destination for tech investment in India. As we move forward, I encourage all the attendees here today to explore the exciting opportunities in Madhya Pradesh and take forward the discussion and collaboration initiated during the summit. Together, we can contribute to shaping a brighter future for India's digital economy and create lasting impact in the global marketplace. Finally, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to all the esteemed speakers, panelists, participants, and members of the esteemed media houses for their valuable insights and contribution. I also extend my sincere appreciation to the organizing team, sponsors, and all those who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this summit a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, all the dignitaries on the dais. Now, before moving to the technical session, I would like to request all the designated dignitaries to please take their respective seat in front of stage. So we'll be starting the technical session soon. India is witnessing a major transformation in science and technology sector, and Madhya Pradesh is the only state with tailor-made policies for all sectors of IT, ITES, and related fields. Today here, we will be discussing on some major topics during the panel discussion and presentation session, and you will also get chance to ask questions related to that particular topic. The first topic of this panel discussion will be Beyond Metros, the rise of Tier 2 and Tier 3 city as GCC hubs, exploring the potential of emerging cities like those in Madhya Pradesh as cost-efficient, talent-rich destinations for global capacity center. And now, for this session, I would like to call Additional Chief Secretary Sir, Shri Sanjay Dubey, Shri S. Krishnan Sir, Bala MS, Anand Chitre, Arindam Sen, Ramesh Iyer, Vineet Dhawan, and Avinash Vashisht. I request each and every of you to please come on the dais for the technical session and presentation. This session will be moderated by Bala MS, CEO, CEO Strat Infinity. We'll be having the government leaders like S. Krishnan Sir, Secretary, MUTI, Government of India, Government Leader from Government of Madhya Pradesh, Sri Sanjay Dubey, Additional Chief Secretary, Department of IT, Science and Technology, Government of Madhya Pradesh. There are some panel members, which are Anand Chitri, Arindam Sen, and Ramesh Iyer, and there are few new investors Shri Vineet Dhawan and Shri Avinash Vashishta. And the topic of this session will be Beyond Metros, the rise of Tier 2 and Tier 3 city as GCC hub. Exploring the potential of emerging cities like those in Madhya Pradesh as cost-effective, talent-rich destinations of GCC, which is Global Capability Centers. I request Sri Bala MS, CEO, Strat Infinity, to please come and moderate this session. Thank you so much.
Right. Very good afternoon. Meanwhile, we settle down. Let me set the context so that in the interest of time, we can actually move on to the question. I think India stands at a very crucial turning point, I would say, as it poised to emerge as a developed economy by 2047, Vikshit Bharat. I think the
start giving the introduction and health certificate settles down, we'll invite ACS certificate.
Oh, correct. Sure. All right, sorry. So it's going to be about $23 to $35 trillion of economic boom, which is going to increase the GDP. And if you look at realizing the potential, it's going to have an annual increase of anywhere between 8 to 10% growth in the global competitive things, which is going to benefit India. There are 5 key sectors that comes to our opportunity for India, which aligns with a global strategy. One is electronics, second is energy, third is automotive, fourth is services, and the fifth one is chemical. If you look at these 5 drivers which align with the global expectations, Global Capability Center comes under 2 aspects. One is electronics, another one is services. And we strongly believe GCCs, Global Capability Centers, are low-hanging fruits. The reason why we say low-hanging fruits, the impact of GCCs can be felt in short term. For example, you build an industry, it may take about, say, 24 months, 36 months, whereas an impact of GCC can be felt in, say, anywhere between 2 to 3 quarters. So it's a low-hanging fruit. And moreover, the digital transformation is effective everywhere. That also helps the global phenomenon, what the global organization expecting, growth, digitalization, and efficiency. I think the fundamental aspects, I would say, my dear friends, especially that align towards the panel discussion topic today, beyond metros, the rise of Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, which are going to be the GCC's hub. I strongly believe, probably I'll share the data. As on 2024 today, Indian GCCs are about close to 1,850 GCCs. That also has 2,690 units. When I say units, one GCC present in 2-3 locations, right? So totally we have about close to 1.9 million talents employed. And if you look at almost 30 to 40% of the talent come from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, which is an interesting thought process. Also, having said that, the launch of policy of Madhya Pradesh is truly an amazing opportunity for Madhya Pradesh as well as for the global organizations which are looking at building their capability center in Tier 2, Tier 3, especially the cities like Bhopal, Indore, Jabalpur, which has a strong presence of academia, which is going to be a fundamental shift, I would say, because the Global Capability Center comes for various reasons. Probably cost arbitrage could be the secondary, the operational efficiency could be the secondary reason. The first and one important aspect is talent, right? So the talent is the only reason why the global companies are looking at India as a destination. I'm sure you all are aware of how the GCC evolved. Probably in the late 2000s it started as Cap2, then it moved as Global Inno Center way back in 2010, and today it is turned as a Global Capability Center when I was a chairman NASSCOM GCC. So with this shift, starting from cost arbitrage, move to efficiency, then to effectiveness, then to value creation, then to innovation. Today, global organizations are looking at building a revenue from the country like India to the global headquarters. With all these things, we'll be happy to moderate this session with a wonderful panel members come from diversified background. We have consulting organization, we have Secretary Mighty, who is actually working on building a GCC policy. We've been happy to work for STPI to build the policy. We have Additional Chief Secretary, we have the GCC leader, Barclays. This is going to be a very wonderful panel. We'll see how interactive we could make the panel. Yeah, so I look forward to talk over the panel.
No, sir is going to present the
Now I would like to call Shri Sanjay Dubey sir to please come forward and give the presentation on this panel discussion topic. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Secretary Government of India, Mighty Shri S. Krishnanji, Honorable guests on the dais, Honorable guests of the dais, press and media. In the first session that I spoke about, we spoke about multiple policies that we were about to launch, and it got launched by Honorable Prime Minister today. So all of these policies come into action from today itself. These special sessions are tailor-made for what we are offering through these policies. So I hope that whatever we are trying to do, we are able to address to the concerns and the requests and the expectations from the state government as far as the investment in GCC is concerned. So I'll try and take you through what Madhya Pradesh is looking at. If you see the growth of GCC, it's about 50% of the GCCs are now in India, out of which, if you see, 1800 has already got established, and by 2030 it is expected that there would be around 2,400 GCCs within the country. If you see the amount of exports that are being done, it's 64 billion to around 100 to 3 years, and around 20% GCCs are now cities. So there is a huge opportunity that we look forward to when we are promising and we are letting the other industry to come into Madhya Pradesh. So what is it that Madhya Pradesh offers to a GCC? Why should a GCC come in Madhya Pradesh and invest and take a decision? We already have infrastructure which is plug and play at 1/4 of the cost, which any other tier 1 city would offer. We have a business environment which means that there has been no single day of manpower loss because there was never a strike in last 25 years. We have vibrant ITA and ITS ecosystem with around 50,000 technical students coming out of the colleges. They are 300 in number, with more than 50 large ITES companies and around 5 IT SEZs that are offering services right now. So this is a talent pool which is low on attrition rate and is also being offered a cost of living which is much lesser than what a city like tier 1 city would be offering. So it's at about 20% less than what it is there. But this is one part of it. This is because whatever we have shown is essentially for the GCCs. But when you think about GCC, it is essentially the employees who rule that. And unless you have a talent manpower getting attracted to come into work into these GCCs, it doesn't make any sense to have a policy. And when you look at the employees, it is the cosmopolitan nature that Madhya Pradesh offers. You have, and in the opening session I said, that you have all the important celebrations that any community would expect from any corner of the country to happen in their place of stay, and that is being offered by Madhya Pradesh. You have a buzzing entertainment options, and the best part is that within 20 kilometers of any of these bigger tier 2 cities in Madhya Pradesh, you would have a one reserve protected forest, a tiger reserve forest, which nobody else can offer. So right from Bhopal, if you travel towards eastern side for 20 kilometers, you would have a Project Tiger Ratapani sanctuary that is there, which takes care of you. If you are close to Jabalpur or to Indore, again you would find that you have sanctuaries, you have wildlife, you have national forests which are available to it. So that is an attractive feature for an employee to come and stay in Madhya Pradesh. Ease of living and work-life balance, you don't have a commute time, you don't waste your time traveling for 2 hours going up and down to your work. You have the lowest of AQI that any cities right now offer, and as you would have seen in today's paper news, there are cities who are reeling now under scarcity of water. It has already gone down below 1,000 feet and 1,000 meters in multiple tier 1 cities, so it is a time that there has to be a hard look given to the GCCs if they have to establish their shop and to see whether the industry should move to tier 2 cities. Again, the clean energy, that is a requirement for GCCs. If you are doing exports, the importers would ask you as to how you have utilized your energy. And Madhya Pradesh offers you green energy 24/7 with installed capacity of 30% that we have within the Madhya Pradesh. So essentially, if you are a GCC and you want to establish your industry and then you want to have the certification that you are using green energy, it is a state of Madhya Pradesh that gives you a certificate that yes, we are supplying you green energy because we have solar, we have wind, we have hydel, and that we can offer to any other industry that we. In fact, as of today, we are supplying 24/7 green energy to Infosys, TCS, and whosoever industry is asking us to supply that. And finally, the government support because of the policy that we have brought out. So we have all the pillars that are required for any industry. Incidentally, Madhya Pradesh has come out with the first GCC policy in the country. There are no other state which has a direct and a specific policy for a GCC, and we have understood and requirement of a GCC, they have to come to Madhya Pradesh. These are the 4 pillars, whether it is infrastructure that we have to give, research and innovation of a GCC development requirement. On requirement, we are to 12 lakh rupees a year per employee. This is something that no other state would ever offer to you. We also allow employee to have upskilling and reskilling reimbursement up to 50,000 rupees per employee. In addition to that, if somebody wants to do an internship, we are saying that we would provide them the internship opportunities also. So we are looking for a talented manpower availability for a GCC to get their shop established. If you talk about infrastructure, there are multiple benefits, whether it is capex assistance, whether it is repaid on land if you want to build your own infrastructure. If you are saying a plug and pay facility, then the interest that would be there, we are paying you 6% of the interest as a reimbursement from the government, and there is a complete waiver on stamp duty, which is essentially very high in Madhya Pradesh, but there is a complete waiver, and then you have a co-working and rental assistance. So if you don't want to construct your own thing and you want to have a plug and play facility, again you have a rental and co-working assistance. So what we have looked at is, on one side we have looked at the talent, the other side is the availability of the infrastructure. Then we understand that the GCC require and they work, they are not the BPOs or KPOs type, but they have to work on a research and development. So there is a huge R&D support that the government is giving to the GCC, including the patenting, including the establishment of COE on AI and cyber security. And here we are banking on the government of India's initiative of AI, where we can actually rent and give it to the startups, to the GCCs for doing the number crunching, the GPUs and the CPUs, and also the assistance in the patent formulations. In addition to that, there are multiple things that we wanted to say, that if you are doing a quality control assistance, there is a possibility. If you are hosting events, then also we are supporting you so as to help you in marketing your efforts and also into the marketing assistance. So, having said so, if you see the alignment of the policy with the union budget, whatever you would have seen speaking by Honorable Finance Minister, it is either the national framework to attract GCCs in tier 2 cities. We have the policy in place. Investment in people, economy and innovation, I have covered that, and I've said there is payroll subsidies, reskilling, upskilling and reimbursement schemes. If you talk about AI center, we have covered that in our policy. If you talk about private sector led R&D investment, we have talked about it. So each and every pillar that Honorable Finance Minister in our budget speech has spoken about of encouraging the investment to come in tier 2 cities, we have targeted that and we have tried and responded to that requirement from within the state policy, and we are very happy to announce that this policy takes is applicable from today itself, and any and everybody is most welcome to come forward and have an investment decision taken for Madhya Pradesh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sanjay Dubey. I think we'll make this conversation very interesting. We have a diversified panel. I would like to start from Additional Chief Secretary. Sir, in the last 3 years, the growth in IT exports from Madhya Pradesh has tripled, almost 43%. So, and you have announced the GCC policy. If you look at the journey of GCC, at any point in time, it takes 2 to 3 quarters for a global organization, if at all everything is available, to finalize a GCC. So having said that, what are your plans for next 24 months in terms of making this policy a realistic one?
It's a very pertinent question, because having a policy is one thing, but actually transforming it and letting it to actually happen is another thing. So as I have said, that GCCs would like to have a plug and play facility if they have to have a good ROI, and we have both on the government side as well as on the private side are ready infrastructure as a plug and play. In fact, I am happy to share that Tholons have visited. Mr. Avasti was there yesterday in Indore, and he was shown multiple facilities that we have created both in private and in public sector, and he was very happy to say that yes, this is the kind of infrastructure that we want to have for a GCC. And the ultimate thing is that GCCs doesn't want to come in small numbers. They would like to come in a large number. They would initially start small, but then they will look for a growth potential. So unless we are able to let them expand, they would not invest in Madhya Pradesh. To take care of that, we have taken care as a talent support system. We are already introducing courses with the help of Barclays, with the help of IBM, with the help of Oracle and others, to ensure that we have a constant supply of the talent which is there. And finally, the infrastructure and the requirement that the employee expects to have it, these are all there in Madhya Pradesh, and we hope that this is good enough and attractive enough for any of the GCs to come.
Amazing. Thank you. That's really helpful. I'd like to shift the gear to our Secretary MIT. Sir, you've been working on GCC policy. Your team has been working on GCC policy. I would like to hear from you the recent announcement by Honorable Finance Minister in terms of extending the framework of GCC framework to Tier 2. Can you throw some light on that?
See, as you're aware, the Honorable Finance Minister announced in the Union Budget that there will be a framework, a GCC framework on what needs to happen. Most of it actually surrounds, you see, I think the key point which was already pointed out is the manner in which any state is ready to roll out a carpet, red carpet for a GCC to locate quickly and to start operating immediately. So you basically need plug and play facilities which are ready. You need an environment which makes it easy to get all the necessary clearances. You have to look at labor related laws. You have to look at a range of those kind of matters. So a lot of the action really is at the state level. Let's be clear about this. Most of what needs to be done to make sure that a GCC is quickly functional is at the state level. And a critical factor in determining where a GCC goes is availability of talent, and availability of talent at reasonable costs. I mean, this becomes the critical factor. So many of those factors is what we want to support states to achieve. Saying, you please, how do you sort of address this whole issue? How do you kind of get into this GCC game at all? What is it that each state needs to do as a framework in order to be able to attract this talent? The template that Madhya Pradesh has laid out is quite attractive and something that we can work with. At the Government of India level, most of it then relates to clarity in certain taxation related issues. And you would notice that both before the latest budget and in the course of the present budget, there have been many of these taxation related issues which have been tackled and addressed squarely. One of the issues that some of the companies face, which in an interaction in Bangalore I remember, is about, you import for an engineering R&D company, you import certain either new parts or old parts which come into the country, and then you have an issue. Once you worked on them, there are customs laws which require them to be re-exported within 6 months. There are restrictions of moving them from one location to another. Many of those kind of difficulties have already been eased out in the past few months, and the newer regulations have been modified to permit many of these to happen. So the framework will basically deal with a lot of those ease of doing business issues, factors which will make it attractive for different entities to set up GCCs at different locations, in particular tier 2 locations, for the obvious reasons which have already been stated in terms of cost, access, and wherever there's an infrastructure requirement, how you address the infrastructure requirement.
Thank you, sir. That's helpful. I would like to recollect what our Secretary sir has said. In my experience, last 20 years been working as a GCC leader for a few of the multinational companies. In the last 3 years with Strat Infinity, a practitioner-led GCC firm, we have got almost 7 GCCs in India. Last quarter, last quarter, one of the NASDAQ listed GCC would like to set up their fintech company in India. So we did a geolocation study and provided 3 options because they want to set up a deep tech AI ML technology talent. We suggested Chennai, Pune or Hyderabad because of various parameters. And you won't believe, the organization, the headquarters has suggested, they've taken Bangalore, they incorporated and started the center. When we did a deep analysis, what prompted them to choose Bangalore, although it is not in our geolocation study, they said, the first quarter when we open up the GCC, we would like to have 300 such talents be onboarded. Right? The quick talent onboarding, irrespective of the size. So I just wanted to reflect this and ask question to our Additional Chief Secretary. I will come back to the panel because the foundational answers we would like to hear from Secretary so that we can have the follow-up question. So how do you see the industry, academia, R&D collaboration in the state of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Saibulbu?
Thank you for this very, very intelligent question, because as I've also mentioned in passing that talent is the essential ingredient and the masala that would be required for a GCC to take a decision to establish their shop in Madhya Pradesh. As I pointed out in my presentation also, that we have one of the best institutions available in the country, right from IIT to IIM. We are also churning out about 50,000 tech talent every year who are now not working in Madhya Pradesh as much, but they are all spread across all over the country, whether it is Hyderabad or Bangalore or Chennai or Pune or Noida. The moment the GCC gets started, every one of them wants to come back to Indore, back to in Madhya Pradesh, back to in Bhopal. I'll give you a small example. Cognizant started with saying that we just want to open a center of 120 odd guys. We just want to do a survey. Whosoever has worked in or has any connection with Madhya Pradesh, we would like to get them relocated. In 6 months' time, they are coming up with 3,000-seater arrangement in Madhya Pradesh, saying that everyone, whether they are from Madhya Pradesh or not, wants to come back to Madhya Pradesh because of the cosmopolitan nature, because of the environment that is there. So there is not going to be dearth. Besides that, we have provided for a lot of opportunities for skilling, reskilling, and as well as relocation benefits. So if somebody is getting relocated from, say, city like Bangalore or Hyderabad, we provide them 12 lakh rupees per employee. That is a kind of incentive that we are giving to the GCCs to come, to let the employee come back to the roots and work in Madhya Pradesh. So I'm quite hopeful that with the plug-and-play facility, with the talent that is available, there should not be any reason that Madhya Pradesh is held back.
Thank you, sir. I'll just shift the gear towards Anand. Anand, you come from Barclays, running a large financial service company. And of course, most of the BFSI GCCs are based in tier 1 cities. The operational efficiency and effectiveness plays a major role for your success. So how do you see the tier 2, tier 3 cities should gear up to ensure that the operational effectiveness should be built in?
Hello. Thank you, Bala. Thanks for the question. And first of all, thank you, Secretary Sir, to giving me this opportunity to be here. And it's a pleasure to be connected with Madhya Pradesh government on the bigger purpose. So just to set the context, Barclays is a global British bank. And when I say global British bank, it's originally British bank, but it's a global bank now, pretty much in league with the top 6 banks, which are predominantly top 5 are American and then Barclays. We have a large setup in India. Barclays as a banking institute offers investment banking, asset management, more like institutional banking services in India, not retail. But from a GCC point of view, which is the context here, we have more than 31,000 employees set up in India as we speak. We are predominantly in metros, as Bala mentioned. We are in Pune, we are in Chennai, and we are in Noida. We have a small setup in Mumbai as well as Bangalore. But what is important is GCCs, when they started around 20 years ago, they started predominantly because of the cost arbitrage and the scale of talent available in India. And that's the reality, right? And then over the period, the GCCs grow not only in banking, but automobile industries, manufacturing industries, FMCG, retail. You see almost all the sectors having GCCs in India. As we fast forward 20 years now, the GCCs are not necessarily there only because of cost arbitrage. Just in Barclays, we have real functional global roles. We have CIO roles being played out of India for our global businesses, that is across the globe, right? We have head of back office operations, we have head of services roles being played out of India. We have our research and technology innovation done out of India. To Sanjay sir's point, right, what is important is we need to provide that holistic ecosystem. So, to your point, Bala, what makes us successful and what makes a location successful when it comes to GCC? The reason I gave the background is because I just wanted to differentiate between the 20-year-old value proposition that was just cost arbitrage and scale, as against the innovation, having the functional roles which needs domain expertise, and a real research and fintech ecosystem around it. So today, GCCs thrive when there are large IT services companies in the location. There are software product companies like Salesforce, SAP, Ab initio. Then we have educational institutes to provide the entry-level talent, but more importantly, the higher education institutes which can also provide me upskilling capabilities for my own employees, for refreshers. And then we need innovation, which comes from our startups. Now, when I'm part of banking industry, so I will rely on fintechs. But they are the ones who are going to explore the new age technologies. They are the ones who are going to explore the challenges which we may not be able to afford. So this entire ecosystem is something that needs the GCC needs to thrive. And when that ecosystem is there, GCCs are naturally going to gravitate to those locations. And in India, I'm really happy, and especially I'm a big fan of Indore. I've been there a couple of times. I'm working with a couple of universities in Indore for upskilling and programs where the industry interventions are provided for relevant skilling. The locations like Indore are building in that direction. They already have IT services. I'm actually meeting the Bhopal Indore startup community today evening. So they are there. Institutes are already there. The industry interventions are started. So I think these are the grounds. Because sometimes I interact with some of the state governments and they're jumping to GCC. And Sanjay sir and I had the same conversation in Pune that GCC is an evolution. You have to have that right foundation built with the educational institute, have IT services, have product companies get attracted to the location, let the ecosystem build, encourage and incubate startups. GCCs will automatically come. With just 5 locations right now at the top GCC destination in India, they're running out of location. We are running out of place, to be very honest with you. We want more locations at GCC setups. So I think the stage is set.
Thank you, Anand. That's helpful. I mean, cost is not the primary driver anymore. It may be a tertiary driver. Rather, talent, skillable talent and scalable talent are the key aspects along with co-creation. And I would also like to recollect, last week STPI under Secretary Sir was hosting a co-creation event with 70 plus fintech startup working with 15 BFSI GCCs to see how the co-creation is possible. I'll move on to Tolan's. Mr. Avinash, yesterday you visited Indore and you have done a lot of global research in looking at building tier 2, tier 3 city opportunities and ecosystem. So how do you compare the tier 2, tier 3 cities? Where do you put Madhya Pradesh tier 2, tier 3 cities in that overall ecosystem?
No, thank you for that. And again, we have been involved for more than 25 years, almost 30 years in this industry, in places like India and Philippines and Latin America. Beyond the research is something that we did, but we have been party to building these GCCs and building these cities essentially. And I think, for example, when we do the strategies for any city or any country, the whole idea is you look at the competitive landscape, and depending on the strength that you have, then you really put up a strategy. So I'll take an example. When USAID basically talked about doing a strategy for Sri Lanka, and that was probably 20 years ago plus, and the Sri Lanka industry and everyone in the Board of Investment said, Sri Lanka is very near to India, and it is cheaper than India, so, why can't we get some work? I said, that's not a sustainable value proposition at all. So one of the things that we found was there were hardly any seats in colleges. And what Sri Lanka had done is the SEMA Accounting Institute from UK, they had created a lot of courses out of that. And there were 17,000 seats in colleges only, and there were 10,000 people that were being graduated from these institutes, diploma and things like that. And when we look at the content of the accounting courses, it was far more than you would need to do any of the F&A functions basically. So, taking a forward view, Talons rated them as the top 3 destinations for finance and accounting in the world. And that got the notice of everyone there. And as you say, rest is history, by the way. But it is not something only for F&A. But now Sri Lanka is known, Virtuosa has come out of Sri Lanka, an amazing, global IT company. So I think the basic thing is there has to be obviously a hygiene. When we say hygiene, we talked about the entity setup, we talked about the workspaces, we talked about the talent, which is very important. So I would still call that as a hygiene, but if you want to differentiate yourself, very similar to a startup, by the way, how do you differentiate? And that is the strength that you need to focus on. And I think, Sanjay, I was hearing some of the things that you have highlighted. For example, the GCC policy itself is very forward-looking, fine? And as long as we can enable the implementation of this from your side, and without much hurdles, by the way, like going fast forward 6 months, we should not hear the fact that the policy is great, but the implementation is a problem. I think if the implementation is taken care of, this is an amazing policy, and that is a strength for you. Also, I think the fact is that there are companies that are already here, and some very world-class companies like Accenture, Cognizant, Infosys, TCS, and also there's a local company that Yash Technology that has also grown and become a global player. I think some of those highlights is a very, very important, and I really like Ajay's this thing about going and attacking and attracting those people in Bangalore and Hyderabad. I think that will make everyone listen up, by the way. And by the way, your organization did a great job for us to listen, and that's why we spent the time in Indore yesterday. We were very impressed. And I think we will come into this state, and we will bring our top clients into GCC over here.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Vinay Ji from DCT. So digital technologies are driving the next wave of growth in terms of entire transformation. And of course, when it comes to GCC, building R&D center capability is going to determine the value chain of the growth that is the country is seeing. So according to you, which are the technologies, or how do you think, what kind of platform the students or the lateral hires should get themselves equipped so that the entire GCC ecosystem for a tier 2 city like Bhopal or Indore have to be ready to face this?
Hello. Thank you, Bala. Thank you, Ajay. So the whole morning's gone in the whole conversation around the evolution of the IT, ITES, and all the business models that we've used, and finally come down to GCC, a very respectable global capability center name. It takes a lot to go and sell this as well. So when you look at the evolution of the way this talent has happened, or the way the models have evolved, and then you connect that to technology, I just want to quickly take an example of what we've been doing at DCT. Over the last 4 years that we've been building GCC, 7 or 8 of them for now, we've last year hired 3 global positions, like Ajay kind of highlighted, but this was for customers. So we hired a director of engineering for 2 companies based out of Pune, and their entire tech team actually sits out of the United States. So it's a reverse model, and we are transitioning leadership roles from a tech standpoint, which now enables on what is it, the pool that we bring in. So now I have a director of engineering sitting out of my office. I have the tech team sitting out of the US. Now the director of engineering is driving the inverted pyramid growth, right? So we're looking at the lower end, and we're creating boot camps purely around data, AI, product engineering. And, we spoke earlier about when Avinash spoke about creating services around AI, right? So we actually have implemented boot camps around AI as a service. And that's what we want to propagate as a learning inside educational institutes to bring that talent and then create that reverse pyramid which funnels back into the growth. So GCCs today, and we've been in the software services business forever, but earlier it was all about back office. Today it's more about value-driven deliveries, straight up. You got to be available and you got to deliver. Who's available and who's delivering is in business. And I think that's what is driving the growth for GCCs. So back to keeping it sweet, it's data, ML, AI, product and product services thereof. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really helpful, Vinay. Moving on to Anand. So can you share some use cases of co-creation? Right? Because GCC's next most expected working culture is co-creation, working with the startups, investing on them, or getting some use cases given to them, building. So can you throw some experience? I'm sure Barclays have been part of co-creation. Would you like to share some use cases?
So definitely yes, and more importantly, this is happening within India. That is more important. So Barclays with them. Right. Now that solution may or may not be deployed in Barclays. Right. But we work with them that enhances our tech quotient as well as it gives us opportunity to inherit some of those solutions.
Right. Do you have any questions for
माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का आगमन हो चुका है। सभी कर्तव्य से स्वागत करेंगे मध्य प्रदेश के यशस्वी माननीय मुख्यमंत्री डॉक्टर मोहन यादव जी का। मैं निवेदन करती हूँ एसीएस सर श्री संजय दुबे जी से, कृपया माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का पुष्प गुच्छ भेंट कर स्वागत करेंगे। मैं निवेदन करती हूँ एसीएस सर श्री संजय दुबे जी से, कृपया माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी का पुष्प गुच्छ भेंट कर स्वागत करेंगे।
ये बात सही है, जैसे मैंने अपने उस उद्घाटन भाषण में भी कहा था कि भोपाल की पहचान पहले गूगल में उठा के देखो तो तुरंत गैस कांड निकलता था, लेकिन आज के बाद ऐसा लगेगा कि जीआईएस निकलेगा तो हम सबको भी एक अलग आनंद आएगा। इसका एहसास होगा कि मध्य प्रदेश की धरती पर विकास के सभी पैमानों को लेकर के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में मध्य प्रदेश सरकार जिस प्रकार से बढ़ रही है, मैं मान के चलता हूँ सभी अलग अलग सभी प्रकार के मंत्रालयों की सभी व्यवस्थाओं को हमारी नीतियों के बलबूते पर जो हम अपनी बात रख रहे हैं, तो बड़े पैमाने पर व्यापार व्यवसाय निवेश और उद्योग के माध्यम से रोजगार के अवसर आ रहे हैं। लेकिन ये बात सही है, आज के इस दौर में जहाँ मैं बात कर रहा हूँ ये सबसे हटकर है और सबसे बढ़कर है। मैं आपको बधाई देना चाहूँगा। आईटी की अगर बात कर रहा हूँ तो वाकई यह एक अलग प्रकार की दुनिया है, और ऐसे में जब सेमीकंडक्टर और हमारे लिए वर्तमान के इस दौर में जब यहाँ मैं 1, 2, 3 नहीं लगातार जिस प्रकार से कोशिश कर रहे थे, हमारे एसीएस संजीव जी यहाँ बैठे हैं, हम सब मिलकर के लगातार विश्व की बीच ये जो बाजार है और बाजार के अंदर की चुनौतियां, इन चुनौतियों में से उथल पुथल भरे माहौल में केवल भारत की तरफ निगाह दौड़ा रहे हैं। हमारे संतोष जी यहाँ है, राजू दीक्षित जी है, हमारे अपने सारे आईआईटी इंदौर के मित्रगण भी है। मैं मान के चलता हूँ अपने बीच में से जब हम अपनी पॉलिसियों को लेकर आगे बढ़ रहे थे, तो मुझे लगता है कि भारत के बाकी राज्यों की तुलना में मध्य प्रदेश ने सबसे अच्छी पॉलिसियां हमारी बनाकर आए हैं, और इसका लाभ हमको सबको मिलेगा, आपको मिलेगा। जब यहाँ पर्याप्त लैंड बैंक है, सब प्रकार की अनुकूलता है, आवागमन के साधन है, और उससे बड़ा जो मानव हमारा कार्यबल है उसकी भी एक बड़ी क्षमता हमारे यहाँ है, और ऐसे में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर से लगा के सभी प्रकार की अनुकूलता है, तो मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ आने वाले समय में आईटी के लिए, अब आईटी पार्क के लिए, अब मान के चलो जब रीवा और उज्जैन में हम आईटी पार्क का भूमि पूजन कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब है कि ऐसे स्थानों पर जहां आईटी की बात करना अपने आप में चुनौती थी, लेकिन मैं बेंगलोर जाकर भी देख करके आया हूं और बाकी जगह भी, लेकिन आज बदलते दौर में मध्य प्रदेश का जो महत्व बढ़ा है, निश्चित रूप से आप सबके माध्यम से बड़े पैमाने पे हमारी भावना की पूर्ति होगी। और आज की इस बैठक में खासकर आपके माध्यम से जो अलग अलग सत्र हो रहे हैं, उन सभी सत्रों में आपकी अपने कामों की सफलता के लिए मैं परमात्मा से कामना करता हूं। यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री के नेतृत्व में ये क्षेत्र भी हमारा लगातार आगे बढ़े, और जितने प्रकार से आप यहाँ बात कर सकते करें, और किसी प्रकार की और भी कमी रह गई हो तो सीसीआईबी में मेरे पास पावर है, ये आश्वासन आपको दे रहा हूँ। किसी भी प्रकार से किसी सेक्टर में बढ़ने के लिए अगर कोई और बात बाकी हो, लेकिन आप मध्य प्रदेश से रिश्ता बनाए रखें, इसी आश्वासन के साथ मैं अपनी बात समाप्त करता हूँ। पुनः सबको बधाई देता हूँ। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने भी यही कहा कि एमपी अजब है, गजब है, और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ये कहते हैं कि एमपी सजग है, यहाँ पे सब कुछ मौजूद है। इसलिए आप सभी मध्य प्रदेश से जुड़े रहिए और मध्य प्रदेश में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए, जिसी को लेकर आधारित हमारा रीजनल इंडस्ट्री कॉन्क्लेव्स हुई, और आज ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट में हम सभी यहाँ मौजूद हैं, और आज के सत्र में आईटी विषय पर चर्चा की जा रही है। आईटी, आईटीईएस और ईएसजीएम, विभिन्न चर्चाएं, विभिन्न सत्र आगे भी यहाँ जारी रहने वाले हैं।